शायोर लीला लहरी।
ओम सर्वधर्म स्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We are studying here Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, second part as sadhaka, and we are in the 15th chapter, Vedanta sadhana, and now we are ready for Totapuri's teaching to Sri Ramakrishna. All the preliminaries are over, Virja Home is over, the tuft of hair and thread has been burned, and he has received the kaupin and the gerua cloth from the Guru. And now, one footnote is there on the name. So we read the footnote first on para 15. Some among us say that Totapuri gave the name Ramakrishna to the master when he initiated him into sannyasa. Others say that Mathuranath, who was a great devotee of the master and served him wholeheartedly, called him first by that name. The first opinion seems to us to be reasonable. Now in this matter, we hear this name even before. So there is another possibility that his father, being a Ram Bhakta, though Thakur was born after his dream in Gayadham, and so he named him Gadadhar, but it is quite possible that he kept another name in tune with Ramkumar and Rameshwar as Ramakrishna. And then, if that name was popular, if the name was in vogue by Mathuranath, then the Guru might have chosen that very name. We have seen sometimes that if a person has some name already, more than one or one name, the Guru may choose that very name. So, amongst Thakur's disciples, as we see, Niranjan become Nitya, Niranjanananda, Sud becomes Sudhananda. So, it is quite possible that the name may have pre-existed either from birth or from Mathuranath. And Totapuri chose that very name out of other names like Gadadhar. So this name, finally, because generally the Guru gives this name, so Sardan Samjay, it is more rational that Totapuri give the name. So anyway, we are now concerned with Ramakrishna as the name. Because we have seen Haldar is saying, Ramakrishna, I have known you. So this name was pre-existing perhaps, and Totapuri selected that very name. That is the most rational to our appearance. Now, para 16. Tota urged the master to remain identified with Brahman itself. Now, Tota has seen Thakur is Uttam Adhikari, so he does not waste time in producing several arguments. He takes what is called the Siddhanta Vakya, the sentences which directly reveal the identity between Jiva and Brahman, and through those sentences, he wants to transmit all his knowledge which he gained in 40 years, theoretical, practical, everything, into Sri Ramakrishna that very moment. If you remember, in the Tantra Shastra we had read during Thakur's Guru Bhav becoming Divya Bhav, that there is a Shambhavi and Shakti Diksha. Though it is about the mantra, but there Guru immediately wants to transfer his whole knowledge to the Shishya. So that is the case here. So See now, remain identified with Brahman itself. That means don't think of anything else. ঠাকুরের ব্রহ্মস্বরূপে অবস্থানের জন্য শ্রীমৎ তোতার প্রেরণা প্রেরণা urged, inspired Thakur. Tota inspired Thakur. ब्रह्मज्ञान ब्रह्म स्वरूपे अवस्थानेर जन्य स्वरूप. So Thakur's real nature, let us split and understand this Bengali heading. Thakur's or ours, anybody's real nature is Brahma. This is called Brahma Swarup. And we should not remain identified with our this temporary false Swarup, which we feel this body, mind and name and all that. In place of that, we have to realize our real nature and stay there. That is the meaning. Brahma Swarupa Avasthan means our real nature is Brahman, so we should stay as Brahman, not as this temporary combination of body and mind. That is, for that, Tota inspired Thakur by sentences. So we read the portion now. Tota enora Brahman, now encourage. Here, the word is used as encourage. That is a good word. Now encourage the master to have recourse to the means of not this, well known in the Vedanta. In the Vedanta, everything belongs to Brahman first. Brahman is the creator, preserver and destroyer of this world. Brahman is this, Brahman is that. And then we are told that Brahman is beyond all that. Brahman is not the creator. In the sense, the world is unreal. If there is unreal world, how can we call Brahman as the creator of this world? So whatever first we had associated all the world with Brahman, so that the concept of world has gone away from us and we are able to think of the reality. Once we are able to think of the reality, now let the world totally drop from our consciousness. That is neti neti. Iti iti means we are already told Brahman is this, Brahman is that. And then we say Brahman is not this. That means the real nature of Brahman is beyond this. That is called neti neti. And twice it is used. It is called vipsa in Sanskrit. That means indefinitely till we reach the reality. So it is not gross, it is not subtle, it is not this, it is not this. So not this, used twice means realize that continuously till actually everything drops down and you remain as Brahman. Now encourage the master to have recourse to the means of not this, well known in the Vedanta, and remain identified with Brahman itself. He said to the master. So through various sentences he is conveying that. Not that as a jump. And he will be surprised that very day Thakur attained that. Because Thakur is an Uttamadhikari, because he had seen Thakur as Uttamadhikari, so he is trying to put all knowledge into him that very moment. Brahman, the one substance which alone is eternally pure, eternally awakened, unlimited by time, space and causation, is absolutely real. Brahman, the one substance which alone is eternally pure. Now, English, it is impossible to translate. Brahman is not a substance. Substance is used in the Nyaya and Sankhya Shastras, substance and its qualities. In that sense, the word substance is used. In the original Bengali or rather Sanskrit, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhav देश कालादि द्वारा सर्वदा अपरिच्छिन्न एकमात्र ब्रह्म वस्तु ही नित्य सत्य वस्तु वस्तु इज नॉट सब्सटेंस वस्तु इज रियलिटी वस्तु पदार्थ इज सब्सटेंस वस्तु इज रियलिटी प्लीज मार्क दिस because that is the teaching through which we are going to rise to Brahmajnana. Brahman, the one reality, which alone is eternally pure, ekmatra, alone. Nitya Shuddha. It has two meanings. Nitya Shuddha is one meaning and Nitya Shuddha is another meaning. So in English he has taken that Nitya Shuddha meaning. But let us understand Nitya, eternal. Brahman is unchangingly eternal. Let us conceive. This is what is all the conceptual knowledge should come from these Rishi Vakyas. And so, very steadily, in the most tranquil, peaceful mind, undisturbed, unruffled, Indriyas not playing, mind not playing, only our Shrotrendriya. Through that, the truth is going in the heart directly. In that mood, let us listen. Brahman is unchangingly eternal. Brahman means the reality of the world, which includes reality of mind, is eternal, unchanging. Shuddha, pure. There is no chance of adulteration because Brahman is one without a second. There not being anything else, how Brahman can become impure? So let us conceive one without a second. And when we try to conceive one without a second, the I consciousness and the world consciousness both will be lost. And then Nitya Shuddha, that means eternally Brahman has not become pure now. Brahman is eternally pure because it is one without a second. Then eternally awakened. Awakened means knowing one's real nature. Now we struggle to get our real nature. But Brahman is eternally awakened. Brahman has never forgotten or missed its own real nature. That is the very nature of Brahman. So let us conceive this knowledge, this consciousness is eternally present in Brahman. It is eternally awakened. Then Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Swabhav. Mukta Swabhav. Freedom is its nature. Freedom is its nature. Eternally, freedom has been its nature. That means it is not limited, it is not bound, there is nothing else other than Brahman which can limit it. So, this has been translated in English as No, that is separate. So, this has not come. This has not come at all. Eternally pure, eternally awakened, eternally free. Please add. Please add there. After eternally awakened, eternally free. That is the usual designation of Ishvara or Brahman. Eternally free. By nature free. There is nothing to bind it. So by nature it's free. So eternally free. Conceive this. Our real nature, our real nature, in our real nature, we are eternally free. That we feel today bound is our wrong knowledge, called ignorance. That we feel we are under bondage is our wrong knowledge. If we can seriously, in the tranquil mind, think, feel, try to experience that we are eternally free. Then, Desha Kaladi Dwara Sarvada Aparichinna. Aparichinna means limited, circumscribed, limited. Aparichinna means unlimited by space. Space, Brahman is here or there, becomes limited by space. Brahman is always unlimited by space. Brahman is beyond space itself. Then time. Time causes changes. Brahman does not change. So is eternally beyond time, space and causation. Nimitta. That means one thing is the cause of something, that thing again is cause of something. So there is a cause-effect relation in the world of Maya. In Brahman, because there is no change, there is no other thing, there is no cause and effect in the reality. That must be thought of, felt, so that this is a fixed idea in our mind that we are bound by time and space and causation. That we have come from somewhere and from us something else will come. This causation is totally absent in our own real nature, which is called Brahman. This Tota is telling Thakur is absolutely real. Absolutely real. Nitya Satya. Nitya Satya. Eternally real. Absolutely real. Because many things are relatively real. We experience them, so we call them real. It is not that. It is absolutely real or eternally real. Nitya Vastu. If you see Nitya Satya, Nitya Satya, eternally real. Now, through Maya, which makes the impossible possible, it causes, by virtue of its influence, to seem that it is divided into names and forms. So we perceive now names and forms, and we feel Brahman is not unbroken. This may be Brahman, but a cot, a table, a man, a woman, and mountains and rivers, and so it is broken. Now this is due to our wrong knowledge. So, through Maya, Maya means wrong knowledge. Through wrong knowledge, it is appearing like this. Now, wrong knowledge, what it will make? Impossible things will become possible because in wrong knowledge, anything is possible. So, Maya is called as Agatana Gatana Patiyasi, expert in making things happen which appear impossible to happen. So, all this is due to wrong knowledge. not happening actually in Brahman. Let us think of that. Let us think of this world which we are seeing, and let us think that it is not real, it is only wrong knowledge which makes it real, makes it appear to be real. So the mind will be transcendent. But it's causes by virtue of its influence. Maya's influence, wrong knowledge's influence, that causes to seem that it is divided into names and forms. Brahman has hundreds, infinite names and forms, and it appears that it is divided in names and forms due to our wrong knowledge. Actually, infinite names and infinite forms all belong to Brahman only, it is not broken. So let us conceive that all knowledge, all names and all forms apply to Brahman only. By names and forms, we become separate from others. Brahman does not become parts. Brahman is not broken. Brahman has all the names and forms. That is the way to lift the mind into that nirvikalpa. Brahman is never really so divided. For at the time of samadhi, what is the proof? For at the time of samadhi, not even an iota, so to say, of time and space and name and form produced by Maya is perceived. So what is the proof? It is called Anupalabdhi Praman. That means at the time of Samadhi, where has it gone? In Samadhi we are not sleeping. We are seeing, we are conscious, we are super conscious. But these things are not there at all. So in our ignorance only the things are there. In reality, in Samadhi, it is not there. So in Samadhi, time and space and name and form, even an iota of this is not perceived. Whatever therefore is within the bounds of name and form can never be absolutely real because form changes, name changes, and so if it is within the bonds of names and form, all our concepts are in names and form. Brahman is beyond names and form. So can we remove from our mind the very idea of names and forms? Can we take our mind beyond all forms? Names will automatically drop. So whatever is within the bonds of names and forms can never be absolutely real. It appears real. Shun it by a good distance. Shun it, leave it, give it up by a good distance. That means no connection with that should remain. We have to conceive all this, then only the reading of this will become meaningful. Tota is teaching Thakur the nature of absolute reality because he thinks he is Uttam Adhikari. We may not be Uttam Adhikari, but by listening this, we may become Adhikari. By listening to this Vedanta carefully, sincerely, critically, devotionally, feelingfully, rationally, we will become fit for reaching that place. So, this in Thakur, it is going to produce Brahmagyan in us. The fitness for Brahmagyan, the adhikar, will be produced by listening properly. Break the firm cage of name and form with the overpowering strength of a lion and come out of it. Now we have been bound by these names and forms, our own and throughout the world. So it is like a cage, iron cage. And the Vedantic knowledge is like the lion. So the lion with his strength of Vedantic knowledge breaks this cage and comes out. That is how it is conceived. Break the firm cage of name and form with the overpowering strength of a lion and come out of it. Dive deep into the reality of the self existing in yourself. So now he is talking of within myself. So all this is achievable For that I need not go somewhere. For that I have to enter my depth of personality. And up to that depth where this I and mind will not remain. So dive deep. It is like diving deep into the ocean, into the reality of the self existing in yourself. Now, if we are able to see that, be one with it with the help of samadhi. So, samadhi means unflinching concentration with knowledge. So, with the samadhi, which is knowledge, which is unflinching concentration, be one with that. That means give up this limited I consciousness and consciousness of the world. You will then see the universe consisting of name and form vanish, as it were, into the void. So the concept of I is connected with concept of universe. If I vanishes into the absolute reality, the world will also vanish into the absolute reality. Till then, neti neti. You will see the consciousness of the little I merge in that of the immense I. Immense I, cosmic I. Little I, individual I. So, if the world vanishes, this little I also will vanish. Where it ceases to function. When this little I goes into universal I, then it does not function at all. It is a reflection or limited appearance of that. So when it reaches that, it does not function separately. And you will have the immediate knowledge of the indivisible existence knowledge bliss as yourself. Immediate knowledge. That means our knowledge today is through our eye consciousness, through our mind, through our indriyas, and then some outside object we know. These are all the mediums through which the knowledge comes. And every medium distorts the knowledge. So, knowledge is divided into direct and indirect. Now, what we call direct knowledge is seen to be like this through medias. So, it is difficult to call it direct. And indirect, what people say, but all our direct knowledge has been found to be indirect. So, the term used is non-indirect, without any mediacy, that is immediate knowledge. Immediate knowledge means without any mediacy, we realize our own real nature in our own real nature. And you will have the immediate knowledge of the indivisible existence consciousness bliss. So, Akhanda, Sat Chit Ananda, that is what we'll realize. Realize means that is what I am, not that I will see this as an object. So this I will realize that this is what I am. The consciousness with the help of which a person sees another, our normal knowledge, knows another or hears another is little or limited, false. That knowledge with the help of which our all the behavior in the world is going on is little or false or limited. Whatever is limited is worthless. For the supreme bliss is not there. Bliss also got broken, mixed with misery. That is our today's life. So you have to come out of it. But the knowledge established in which a person becomes devoid of the consciousness of seeing another, knowing another, and hearing another is the immense or the unlimited one. That knowledge where nothing is seen as other. Everything is seen as myself, not as other. That is the unlimited knowledge. With the help of that knowledge, one gets identified with the supreme bliss. So, supreme bliss is there. Satchidananda, one becomes identified with that. What mind or intellect is able to know that which exists as the knower in the hearts of all. Identified with the supreme bliss, what mind or intellect is able to know that which exists as the knower in the hearts of all? Mind or intellect will know some outside object. How can it know the knower? How can it know that which is perceiving through mind and intellect? So this is a akshepa. It is not like that. So your own real nature. This all is quoted from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That is what the English translation tells us, not mentioned in the Bengali, because he has culled from all Upanishads. Many sentences appear to be from Chandogya. So this footnote is not of much use. Don't try to search this in Brihadaranyaka alone. Nanyat Pashyati, Nanyat Shrunoti, these are from Chandogya. So, like that, Tota is teaching. Why? Tota's behavior at the master's failure to make his mind free from all functions, the master's attainment of the Nirvikalpa. Two topics. Now, master has made a habit of resting the mind with Divine Mother Kali. He has tested Nirvikalpa Samadhi long before Tota came on the horizon. But after that, for the mind to stay, he has made a habit of staying in God, the Saguna Brahma, where I have an existence other than you, and that you is Kali, the mother. Nothing of the world. All the world vanishes into Kali, the mother, and I remains only to experience that Kali, the mother. This is the state in which Thakur had habituated himself to stay. There was a purpose in that. Purpose is that how to go beyond it will be shown now. For all of us, it will be easier if we first be devoted to personal God and be immersed in that, and then from that, with the help of real knowledge, we can go beyond. To teach this, Thakur has taken this method. So, he will tell Tota, I have not been able to free my mind from some meditation because I feel I am seeing the Kali, the mother. So, sheer seen difference is there. Then Tota will tell something and Thakur will not follow that. Thakur will make knowledge as a sword and cut it, the figure of mother. Cutting the figure of mother means cutting the division between experiencer and experienced. And then the mind will go to Nirvikalpa. So that portion is coming now. Tota tried to make the master attain Samadhi on that day with the help of various arguments and conclusive quotations from the scriptures. Arguments and Siddhanta Vakya, conclusive quotations from the scriptures. The master said to us that Tota girt up his loins, as it were, to make the experiences gained by him from the lifelong sadhana enter into the master's mind on that occasion and put him immediately into the non-dual plane of consciousness. So, seeing that Uttamadhikari, this is what Tota is doing. After initiating me, said the master, the initiating me is sannyas. The naked one One's Guru's name should not be taken out of extra reverence for him, and Tota always remained naked, so Thakur used to call him the naked one, Nangta. The naked one taught me many dicta. Dicta means doctrines, the settled truth in sentences in the Vedanta, the Siddhanta Vakya, that is called dicta. Many dicta, dicta is the plural of dictum. So many dicta conveying the conclusions of the Vedanta and asked me to make my mind free of function in all respects and merge in the meditation of the self. So mind should not have any function. Mind should be fixed in the nature of the self. Their function is not necessary. But it so happened with me that when I sat for meditation, I could by no means make my mind go beyond the bounds of name and form and cease. I could not do that because Divine Mother came before me and I loved that. I had made it a habit. The mind withdrew itself easily from all other things. That is Thakur's speciality. We have to struggle, maybe life after life, but that is the struggle we have to do, to remove all things of the world from our mind. The mind withdrew itself easily from all other things, but as soon as it did so, the intimately familiar form of the Universal Mother, consisting of the effulgence of pure consciousness only taken a form, appeared before it as living and moving and made me quite oblivious of the renunciation of names and forms of all description. That attracted Thakur's mind so much that the idea of going beyond forms did not remain. When I listened to the conclusive dicta and sat for meditation, this happened over and over again. Almost despairing of the attainment of the Nirvikal Samadhi, I then opened my eyes and said to the naked one, "No, it cannot be done. I cannot make the mind free from functioning and force it to dive into the self." Scolding me severely, the naked one said very excitedly, "What? It can't be done?" What utter defiance! He then looked about in the hut and finding a broken piece of glass, took it in his hand and forcibly pierced with its needle-like pointed end on my forehead between the eyebrows and said, "Collect the mind here to this point." Now this has led many people to misunderstand that the meditation should be done here. No. When the formlessness is not gaining, form is there, mind is already concentrated, from there to go to there, shift from the heart to that place, then this becomes useful. Another thing we shall notice, Thakur does not say he did that. Thakur had his own method. Once he was determined to do that, when Tota said, "Why it cannot be done?" So Thakur knew that it can be done. And then he had his own method, remember. With a firm determination, I sat for meditation again. And as soon as the holy form of the Divine Mother appeared now before the mind as previously, I looked upon knowledge as a sort. So he started with firm determination. He knew that the reality is beyond names and forms. And I have made it a habit to deal with Holy Mother, Divine Mother. So with the determination that I can go beyond, I have to go beyond, he started meditation. And when the form of the Divine Mother appeared, I looked upon knowledge as a sword, so abstract concept. He did not hold any sword. He does not have to cut any object externally. Only the idea has to. So he conceived knowledge as a sword. Knowledge that means the reality is unbroken. The reality is not divided into subject and object. That is the knowledge, neti neti. So collecting that and cut it mentally in two with that sort of knowledge. Cut it, that figure, that form. Cutting the form means going beyond form. The mind is going beyond form. That is called cutting the form with the sword. Sword of knowledge. There remained then no function in the mind which transcended quickly the realm of names and forms, making me merge in samadhi. Tota examined whether the master really attained nirvikalpa samadhi. His surprise. Though Tota was trying and trying like that, but when the mind became like that, he was surprised that I took 40 years to gain this. Tota remained sitting for a long time beside the master, who entered into samadhi in the manner mentioned above. Now Thakur is not talking anything. Then coming out of the hut silently, he locked the door up lest someone should enter the hut without his knowledge and disturb him. So he thought that when his samadhi is broken, he will call me, then I will open it. So near the kutia but outside, he locked the kutia so that others should not enter and sat near. He took his seat under the Panchavati, not far from the hut, and was awaiting the master's call to open the door. Now, who is there to call? And why he will come back? The day passed into night. Slowly and calmly, days rolled on. At the end of 3 days, when Tota did not still hear the master's call, he was filled with curiosity and astonishment and left his seat to open the door. With a view to knowing the condition of his disciple, he entered the hut and saw that the master was sitting in the same posture in which he had left him. That is the meaning of going beyond names and forms. And that there was not the slightest function of the vital force in his body. So I is gone, prana function stops. Consciousness is there, I is not there. And prana function depends upon this I. And because I is lost, prana function has stopped. There was not the slightest function of the vital force in his body, but his face was calm and serene and full of effulgence. So that consciousness is seen on the face as effulgence. He understood that the disciple was completely dead to the external world and that his mind, merged in Brahman, was calm and motionless like an unflickering lamp in a windless place. That is the simile given in the Gita. Being versed in the mystery of Samadhi, Tota became astounded and thought, is this indeed true that I see enacted before me? Has this great soul actually realized in a day? Because he saw after 3 days. But Thakur went in the first day itself. Has this great soul actually realized in a day what I could experience only as the fruit of 40 years of austere sadhana? Filled with doubt, Tota applied his mind to the examination of the state of the master and scrutinized minutely all the signs manifested in the disciple's body. He examined especially whether his heart was beating and whether the slightest breath was coming out of his nostril. Heart is breathing, prana shakti. Breath is coming out, prana shakti. He touched repeatedly the disciple's body because the prana is functioning, the body will react, which was in a steady posture, like a piece of wood, firm and fixed. But there was no sign of any change or modification, nor was there any return of normal consciousness. Besides himself with joy and astonishment, Tota cried out, "Is it divine Maya? Is it in truth Samadhi? Is it the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the ultimate result of attained through the path of knowledge spoken of in the Vedanta? Ah, how very strange is the Maya of the divine." So this is what Tota found. Tota tried to bring the master down from Samadhi. So processes are there in Vedanta that Om is the name of that Nirgun Brahma which Thakur has reached. Now the mind may come a fraction like coming, and at that point of time, if Om can enter the ears, the mind finds a support to come out. Tota then undertook the process of bringing the disciple back to the consciousness of the external world. Profound sounds of the mantra Hari Om fill the land, water, and sky of the Panchavati. Hari Om. We are described in another place in Guruva. All these things have come. There as Guru, here as Sadhu. How attracted by the love of the disciple and desirous of making him firmly established in the. So there is something firmly established through many Rishi's experiences, many logics. The mind should not flutter. It should be firmly established. Desirous of making him attracted by the love of the disciple due to these qualities, and desirous of making him firmly established in a Nirvikalpa plane of consciousness. Sri Tota spent here day after day and month after month, and how with the help of the master, he had his own spiritual life made complete in all respect. We are not discussing here, he is mentioning it here, because the time period is same, and as Guru, it has already been described. As Sadhak, this has no relevance. We refrain therefore from repeating all that here. Having lived continuously at Dakshineshwar for 11 months, Tota started for the northwestern parts of the country. There arose immediately after this event, after 11 months, a strong determination in the master's mind to remain incessantly thenceforward in the non-dual plane of consciousness. We have told the reader elsewhere, that also is described there, how he carried into practice that resolve, how he could remain continuously for 6 months in that high plane of non-duality, where even adhikarika persons who are only a little less than the incarnations of God cannot dwell for a long time, not to speak of the ordinary sadhaka, the jiva kotis, and how at that time a monk arrived at the Kali temple and coming to know that humanity would be greatly benefited through the master in the future, lived there for 6 months, taking care of his body and saved his life by various means. This has already been described. But that has happened now, so it has been hinted here. The master cured Jagdamba Dasi of a fatal disease. Now, what helped him to come down? Because he wanted to stay permanently there. Tota brought it down by Hariam. But now Tota is not there. And he wants to stay there permanently. So what brought it down? We shall now mention a special event that happened in Mathur Babu's life by the grace of the Master at that time and bring this chapter to an end. Mathur's devotion to and faith in the Master had already increased enormously as a result of his seeing various wonderful divine powers manifested in him. An event of this time confirmed and stabilized that devotion of his, making Mathur take absolute refuge in the Master for his entire life. Mathur's second wife, Srimati Jagdamba Dasi, we know that he was married to Karunamaya, and when she died, he was married to Jagdamba Dasi. Had an attack of dysentery, which was a fatal disease in those days. The disease gradually worsened so much that the well-known doctors and physicians of Calcutta at first felt anxious for her life and then gave up all hope. Mathur, though born poor, was, we were told by the master, exceedingly good looking. And it was because of this that Rani Rasmani gave her third daughter Karunamai in marriage to him, and after her death, the youngest Jagdamba Dasi. Therefore, immediately after his marriage, a profound change took place in his circumstances. He was poor, and within a short time, he rose to be the right-hand man of his mother-in-law on account of his address and intelligence, on account of his बुद्धि बले एवं कर्म कुशलता है. Buddhi bale and karma kushalata. Intellect, we may say, easy. Rose to be the right and man on account of his intelligence is there. Then address. Karma kushalata. Expertise in work. Expertise in work and intelligence. Rather, intelligence and expertise in work. We already narrated how, after the death of Rani Rasmani, he acquired in a way the sole authority for the management of Rani's property. Not only was Mathur now going to lose his dearest wife Jagdamba Dasi, but he was on the point of being simultaneously deprived of the said authority over the management of his mother-in-law's property, because that he was doing by virtue of being the son-in-law. If the wife dies, then he has no authority, no bond, because actually it is Jagdamba Dasi who is the manager. Mathur, in that name, Mathur is acting. It is therefore needless to say much about his mental condition when the doctors gave up the case as hopeless. He became extremely anxious and came to Dakshineshwar from Dhanbada. And after saluting the mother of the universe, went to the Panchavati in search of the master. Seeing him in that bewildered condition, the master asked him very affectionately to sit by him and made inquiries about its cause. Mathur fell at his feet and with a choked voice informed him everything with tears in his eyes, piteously saying again and again, the worst is about to happen, but that apart, what grieves me most, Father, is that I am going to be deprived of the privilege of serving you. Filled with compassion on seeing the miserable plight of Mathur, the master entered into ecstasy and said to him, don't be afraid, your wife will come round. So from the Nirvikal Samadhi, he has come down, but how that was stabilized, how he did not go back, that is the event. The devout Mathur knew the master as God himself, and so at the master's assurance, he was as it were brought back to life and took leave of him that day. On his return to Jan Bazar, he found that there was a sudden change for the better in the condition of the patient. Jagdamba Dasi, said the master, now, whatever happens in our life is the effect of some karma which you have done previously. And one's karma, one has to suffer oneself. But God has the power to suffer for somebody, so that somebody is left free. Jagdamma, said the master, was gradually coming round from that day, and her suffering from that disease had to be borne by this body, showing his own. As the consequence of bringing round Jagdamadasi, I had to suffer from dysentery and other diseases for 6 months. He could bear that. Jagdamba would have died. That is the difference. But he had to suffer. And he took up that suffering for Mathur's faith. Speaking of the wonderful loving service of Mathur to him one day, the master referred to the aforesaid event and said to us, was it for nothing that Mathur served me for 14 years? The Divine Mother showed him various wonderful powers through showing his own body this. That is why he served so devotedly. So this is another experience which Mathur got added to his faith in God, Master as the God himself, and his service continued. So we are in a way come to the end of the Vedanta sadhana, but another chapter will tell us the effects of this Vedanta sadhana, permanent effects in the personality of Sri Ramakrishna. That we shall see tomorrow. Om Sarvadharmastapakasvam Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Yeah.